Observing a moment of silence for Noreen McSwaney, a beloved town employee. Thank you. So on that topic of Noreen, I just wanted to make the announcement that due to these extenuating circumstances, that the town will not be accepting new zoning or planning projects until we can resolve our personnel issues. We hope not to have to resort to any sort of formal moratorium as we search to replace some big shoes we have to fill. But we will keep the public apprised, and we send our deepest condolences and gratitude to the family of Noreen. And then now we have Amanda Primiano from...
Motion to open the meeting?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, the motion to open the town board meeting of April 6, 2026 at 7:02 p.m.
Rivera, second.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
And now I'd like to invite Amanda up to speak on behalf of Monroe Free Library.
Good evening. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm here to share with you what's been going on at the Monroe Free Library and what is yet to come. We think it's very important that we share how hard we are working to use our community's taxpayer dollars to the best we can. So, in 2025, over 100,000 items were borrowed from the Monroe Free Library. We offered 525 programs, which was an increase from the previous year. 6,940 people participated in our programs, which was an increase from the previous year. Our community needed a space to gather, and we were here for them. In 2025, our community rooms were officially used 1,366 times, which is an increase from the previous year. These community rooms are used for Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, bereavement groups, book clubs that we don't run, test taking, interviews, teens studying together. So our community needs a space to gather, and we're happy to be there for them for free. In 2025, our 13 museum passes were collectively borrowed 86 times. These passes are very generous. It's not one pass, one person. It's typically one pass for 4 or 5 people. These passes include the Children's Discovery Museum, Hudson Highlands, Bosco Bell, the Empire Pass, Bethel Woods, the 9/11 Museum, the Intrepid, Storm King, Museum Village, Stone Crop, and the Dia. So all you need is a Monroe Free Library card to make a reservation to borrow these passes for free. Just a brief moment about tax savings to the taxpayer. In 2025, our books alone circulated 84,764 times. With respective costs to the average new hardcover, which is around $20 to $30, we have saved those taxpayers a collective of over $1.6 million, which is more than our operating budget in its entirety. We also, like said, assisted one-on-one support that includes tech help, genealogy, in-depth research questions that can last up to 45 to an hour to 596 members for free. Those appointments would typically cost collectively over $4,000. Some new things going on at the library. We have some exciting new kits that our community could borrow. These are the Home Boost kits. These are to see how energy efficient your home is. You come and you borrow the kit. You plug in it into your smart device, and you can scan your house for energy efficiency, and you get a free report that typically costs about $100. We also have the New York Times. It actually just went active today. The New York Times Online is officially free for any Monroe Monroe Free Library card holder. All you have to do is go onto our website. You have access to everything. The cooking, the games, all of the articles, the arts, everything for free. This is a brand new service. Some upcoming events. On April 17th, we have the Magic Lantern event. This is a old school way of viewing a film before film. This company, they use glass slides to tell a story. And they use glass slides and music over on top of it. So that's on April 17th at night. It's a Friday. If the weather is nice, it'll be outside on our lawn. If not, it'll be inside. On April 18th, we will be having our semi-annual yard sale. This is where we allow the community to come in and, sell their gently used items, and it gives the opportunity to the community to come and buy those items. We are still looking for vendors, so every table that you purchase, the first table is $20, any table after that is $10, with the rain date of May 2nd. We are also hosting an open house on May 16th. This is an opportunity for the community to come in and learn about the library, meet the board, meet the staff, get a tour of the library, sit in on quick informational sessions, participate in children's activities, adult activities, crafts, scavenger hunt, and a raffle at the end. We are also pleased to announce the return of our Movies on the Lawn. This is where we host our movies from May to September. We blow up the big screen. Everyone can watch movies under the stars. That'll start in May. We will also be bringing a new and exciting summer reading program to our youth. It's also going to be a week longer than it's typically, so we really are trying to keep our youth as engaged as possible. And lastly, we currently have 9,272 Monroe residents who have a library card. That's approximately 44% of our population. I'd love for it to be more. It's very easy to get a library card if you've never gotten one before. I know we're all busy, but you can actually apply for a library card online, and we will mail it to you. And even if you can never step foot in our building, there are still plenty of resources that you can take advantage of. The New York Times, our databases, tutor.com, which is a free online tutoring service, mango.com, it's a language learning app. All of our ebooks and audiobooks you can download right from your phone without having to step foot in the library. Even though we'd love to see you, we know you're all busy. Thank you so much. Okay.
I just have one question.
Sure.
How much does it cost to get a library card?
$0.
There you go.
There you go.
$0, folks.
Yes.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
It's
Thank
like
you again.
knew that in advance. Thanks, Amanda. Mobile DMV coming to Town Hall. I believe it is April 27th. It will be open from 10 a.m. to noon, closed for lunch from noon to 1 p.m., and open again from 1 to 3:30 p.m. Who's got the next one? Yes, another reminder that the meeting room doors in the back have faulty hardware and cause all sorts of fun issues for us when you go out that way with our alarm system. So everyone who's entering and exiting through the building, please use the front doors. We appreciate that. We have Clean Sweep. We're still accepting sponsors from people who have previously sponsored with us. I know it was a tough winter and we never thought spring would come, but it has. So the Monroe Clean Sweep will be on Saturday, May 2nd, beginning at 8 a.m. at St. Anastasia's parking lot on Route 17M. And we will have shredding, electronic recycling, textile recycling, tires. Please remove the rims, oil recycling at Freeman's. And as always, supplies such as bags and gloves will be provided for all volunteers. And shuttles will be provided by Dialer Ride to and from St. Anastasia's around to where groups would like to pick up. Typically along 17M. The Conservation Commission will be presenting environmental information, and it is available to any resident of the town or village of Monroe and Harriman free of charge to come help clean up the town. Again, we're still accepting sponsorships. We do have a great volunteer turnout, but we're still looking for more help, so please get in touch with us if you would like to.
Supervisor, I just want to make one comment. Gentleman reach out. regarding sponsorship. So Jen was going to be sponsors, so sponsorships. Sponsor just
Just because the mic is cutting out, she was saying that just please, all sponsors interested, reach out and close out with your accounts as soon as possible because we have a t-shirt deadline. Thank you, Val. We have another reminder that we're doing a community art exhibition. So all of those artists and aspiring artists who would like their artwork to be displayed on the walls of Monroe Town Hall, please send a picture of your work to supervisor@townofmonroeny.gov. We're also reaching out to the school districts to get our students involved with this, and we hope to have enough entries to have a formal art display and have art recognized during a town board meeting in June. And the deadline for submissions, is that May 4th, Val?
Yes.
Thank you. Who's got the next one? Someone take the next one.
I'll do the ladies' trivia night from Lakeside Fire Department, the auxiliary. They will be holding a trivia night on Friday, April 10th. The snow date, heaven forbid that happens, knock wood it doesn't, would be Saturday, April 11th. The doors will open at 6:30 p.m. The game will start at 7 o'clock p.m. and goes to 9 p.m. or a little later. It's $40 per person will be the cost. The location is Lakeside Fire and Rescue Company, 146 West Monbassia Road, Monroe. If you have any questions, you can call Laura. The number is 8238. You're invited to bring your own drinks and a snack. Trattoria Italiana from Greenwood Lake will be there making pizzas and is donating 20% of the sales to the Lakeside Ladies Auxiliary. There will be tricky tray baskets and a 50-50 raffle, and dessert will be provided. So as I said, the cost is $40. Please contact Laura and reserve your table today. It's 8 people to a table, teams of 4, but if you want to go as a single, I'm sure they can pair you up with somebody there. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary. Now we have the East Orange Collection Show.
Yes, so our Town of Monroe Historical Society is going to be hosting the East Orange Collection Show. It'll be this Saturday, April 11th, here at Town Hall. It's from 10 a.m. to 2, and it's a free event, open to the public. They'll be showing a variety of things, unique historical items like antique toys, old coins, hardware, and more. I personally love a good antique show. I like to compare everything from the local region to what I collected over in Europe, so hopefully I'll see some of you there.
Beth and I also had a meeting this past month with the state troopers, and I just asked her to recap that as a part of the community announcements.
Thanks, Maureen. So yes, our state troopers has a new captain and invited us over, just to get a feel for the community and find out what they need from not just us as a board, but what the residents of the town need. And as you know, public safety has been of great concern to so many of our community members for quite some time. And so we just expressed those general perspectives that we've gotten from our residents when it comes to speeding and reckless driving. We also talked to them about our intention to find room in the next budget to do a proper public safety assessment so that we can address those things the right way. They're very more than willing and open to supporting us in any way. We discussed specific areas in the town, not the village, in the town, because they are our troopers, where we know excessive speeding happens frequently. What I would like to ask the residents, because besides anecdotal information that we receive or what we see on social media, it's really helpful if you're contacting them directly. I'll give you an example. I hear a lot about, people literally drag racing on the street in my neighborhood. I'm not going to name any specific streets right now, but you see that frequently in social media. Well, the troopers can't predict the next time a couple of teenagers are going to be drag racing one night. So if you're hearing those things, give them a call. They will be there. They will take care of it. But beyond that, please, residents, let us know what you're seeing and hearing, and we'll continue to communicate it with them. I do also want to acknowledge, when it comes to the kind of reckless driving, speeding, things that are bothering our residents, it is not just the town. I know personally it happens in the villages as well, in the experiences that I experience. And so that's why we really need to do the safety. We can't just throw a Band-Aid on where we think it will work. I'm sorry, safety assessment. I didn't complete my sentence, which is really important that we don't just throw a Band-Aid on it and we do it the right way moving forward. If anyone has questions, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll discuss it.
Yep. They actually are also trying to schedule with us a time where they can come down to a town board meeting and just address some of the misunderstandings and misinformation that were perhaps perpetuated during election season. Unfortunately, as an apolitical organization, they can't always get involved when their name is dragged through an election season. So we thought it best to invite the state troopers down and to publish it in advance so that any concerned citizens hearing that we might be, unpoliced or unprotected would have their concerns addressed directly from the force that we've been able to rely on for all of these years, and hear why we still have our continued faith and confidence in our state troopers. So thank you to those who serve this community. So I'd like to transition, unless there's anything else with community announcements. Everyone's good? So I'm going to make the motion to open the continuation of the public hearing regarding road improvement petition, i.e. Seven Springs Road realignment.
And we'll second.
Call the question.
Aye.
Mike?
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Thank you.
For the gentleman
And-
coming up, if you'll just please announce your name into the mic. Please leave the mic in the stand. Supervisor, am I setting a time for this or no?
Are you planning on being here a long time?
We're here to answer any questions the board may have,
I
as long
think-
as that takes.
We'll trust you with this one.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Supervisor, members of the board. My name is Dan Richmond. I'm with the law firm Zarin and Steinmetz. And with me on behalf of the applicant is Phil Greeley from Collier's Engineering and Design. We're here to, in connection with our petition, to improve the roads, the portion of Seven Springs Road between the intersection of Seven Springs Mountain Road and an area north of Lanza Court, starting at G Road. It's approximately 1,950 feet, as Phil will show you on a map. And the purpose is to improve the road specification standards necessary to support, improve both current and future growing population and resulting traffic, land development, ease of access, safe access of all users, and otherwise advancing the goals and objectives of the town's comprehensive plan. As we will explain, Seven Springs Road is currently outdated in terms of its road specifications, causes adverse traffic and safety conditions, and otherwise dangerous and inadequate to support current and future traffic and safety requirements. So we're petitioning to improve both the horizontal and vertical alignment of this portion of the road. As the comprehensive plan, the town's comprehensive plan recognizes Seven Springs Road as a major arterial used for traffic into and out of the villages, and is thus critical for existing and future transportation needs. And the areas surrounding this portion of the road holds existing and proposed development areas that will continue to be an important roadway infrastructure. And as the town comprehensive plan also recognizes, the complete streets law was adopted and intended to achieve and consider the needs of all users, including pedestrian, bicyclists, motorists, public transportation, and citizens of all ages and disabilities. And the roadway improvements that we're proposing squarely address these items by improving. So we're here tonight on the hearing. Phil will explain the process, the road, what we're proposing to do, answer any questions you may have, and we're hoping your board can make a determination that this is in the public interest, at which point we would prepare more definitive plans and make a careful estimate of the estimate, which your board and then again can review. And again, we're eager to move forward with this.
Good evening. Philip Greeley from Colliers Engineering and Design, professional engineer. So we were retained to look at Seven Springs Road, the section that Dan described. The first step was really looking at existing conditions in terms of roadway alignment. It's very circuitous, a lot of changes in horizontal and vertical alignment on that section of roadway, numerous curves. We also looked at accident data as well as traffic volume data, including historical data and data that we collected. On that section of roadway, traffic has increased significantly over the last 10 years. From the period from 2019 through 2025, the volume increased by almost 50%. Daily volumes on the roadway went from around 1,700 vehicles per day to over 2,500 vehicles per day. All of this information is in the letter that was submitted dated August 21st. The type of accidents, there were some accidents that were just animal-related accidents, but many of them were due to sight distance or issues with navigating portions of the roadway, curves, etc. We compiled that information, did several traffic counts our own, and historical data from New York State DOT and from other studies along that corridor. Our recommendation was to look at realigning the roadway to remove those adverse curves, the vertical and horizontal changes, and come up with a alignment that was more acceptable for current day standards. Again, this would be designed to what we refer to as AASHTO, American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials, design guidelines, which is what New York State, Orange County DPW, and towns will use when designing new roadways. In the packet that you have, there's a plan that shows an alignment, it shows a profile, and we've done some preliminary cost estimates. In terms of, I have a hard copy of the plan. Yeah, everyone knows where the section of roadway is that I'm speaking about? At the north end of the town?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so what you see in the dark gray is the current alignment of the section of road. You can see the curves in terms of the horizontal alignment. In yellow is where the roadway would be straightened. There would be, the alignment would be changed to a more tangent section to do away with those adverse curves. And of course, there would be changes in the vertical alignment also to get from point A to point B. The section is about 1,950 feet from where we would start the realignment, continuing up to the intersection with Seven Springs Mountain Road, which is where the roadway intersects today. That's pretty much it. We've done preliminary cost estimates. More detailed plans would have to be developed with full grading and drainage and other details, but that's what we've identified at this point. Be happy to answer any questions.
Always get complaints about Larkin Drive, that it's winding and curving. Planning many years ago determined that, not a very straight road will decrease speed. You're definitely making that a straight road.
Yeah.
What improvements do you plan, whether it's traffic lights, speed bumps, speed dips?
Yes.
What are those type of speed mitigation factors you are planning?
Yes. Well, just to start with the answer to the question, it's not only the horizontal alignment, but a lot of the issues with this roadway are the vertical alignment, so you have poor sight distance. So what we show is a tangent alignment. There would be some gradual curves in the final design, but really to take out those vertical changes where you have no sight distance, you come over a crest, and then you have, a vehicle stop. That's where problems come in. In terms of traffic calming is what you're referring to. How do you control traffic? So at the intersections would be controlled by either stop signs. There is a plan for a future signal at the intersection of the county road, Seven Springs Mountain Road, County 44, and where Seven Springs intersects there. So that would be signalized. In terms of the traffic calming measures, again, typically what would be installed would be speed tables and or speed humps. As development continues along a roadway like this, and again, everything today is designed with pedestrian accommodations, sidewalks, et cetera. So there would be other intersecting points, but what you're referring to is really what we call traffic calming, because we don't want to encourage speed, but we want to do away
That's
with
definitely a complaint throughout the
Understood.
town, so.
Understood.
I've heard this brought up
So-
multiple
Yes.
times, is that straightening the roadway would encourage speeding
Yeah.
when they're already speeding on a roadway that's
Mm-hmm.
like incredibly unsafe and unstable and not level at all.
Understood. So what we show on the plan is tangent alignment. But as you look at the final grading in there, there may be areas where there would be slighter curves in there, but really to do away with the vertical changes that are the problematic issue. Because you can have,
People are launching themselves,
Yeah.
like Mario Kart.
yes.
I've seen film, it's not good. We need to remediate multiple stretches in this area, including Seven Springs Mountain Road, where I can't recall, where was the state trooper hit when they were doing speed remediation over there? On Seven Springs or Seven Springs Mountain?
Erin,
Okay.
please speak into the mic.
She was
sorry,
just
I
saying it
think
was
it
Seven
was-
Springs Mountain.
I think it was Seven Springs Mountain, but I'm not sure.
Understood.
So I can't recall, were you doing sidewalks with this project?
So the alignment is such that sidewalks would be part of the right-of-way that we've set aside would accommodate not only sidewalks, but also turning lanes, so that if there are future access drives or intersections, there would be turning lanes, and at the major intersections, eventually would be designed so that if traffic signals needed to go in, they could be added without having to rebuild an intersection.
So that was,
There would be
we're
sidewalks.
allowing space for sidewalks, or we're building
No,
sidewalks?
there would be sidewalks
Okay.
built as part of the roadway.
Okay.
So the roadway itself would be one lane in each direction, and the potential for a turn lane and sidewalks. Whether they
So-
would be on both sides of the road or one side, the right-of-way is wide enough to accommodate sidewalks on both sides. Early on, we thought that, you'd build one side, and then as development comes in, the area would be set aside where the developers would build the sidewalk along their frontage.
Okay. Because I know this expands one of the lots there that, obviously, you represent the project that's like wanting to
Straight.
repair this road, straighten this road, have a realignment for multiple reasons. And one of that is, I believe this was probably spoken about and negotiated behind the scenes, that when a development comes in to this such a magnitude as Monroe Commons, that all of the construction and wear and tear destroys and breaks down the existing structure. So trucks have been obviously breaking down this road, trucking out large industrial truckloads of rocks, and there's been a lot of leveling and grading of the property over there. So I'm pretty sure that at some point the town likely required it in a formal or non-formal sense, and that's probably why this is before us. So I'm inclined to recommend to the board that we do encourage the repair of this road in a way that makes sense, because having this construction wear down the existing infrastructure and to allow no remediation wouldn't be recommended by anyone. But I think we're all just concerned, I don't know, Darius, about the details of it, including like the gradient of the actual property leading up to the street, and what environmental reviews are they going to have to go through?
All of the above need to be looked at closely. We'll need a secret. Did you submit a secret doc? You did? Okay. This will have to be looked at closely from an engineering side, and we will do that, and legal. There's a whole process under the law that we have to look at closely. I know Mr. Richmond and I looked at this, I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago. So we'll look at it closely and report back.
I mean, I think basically what we're looking for now.
Speak into the mic, please, sorry.
Just to amplify what Darius said, we are looking for your board just to make a public interest determination that, when your board is comfortable with it, that this is in the public interest so that we can advance it to the next level. And we can, as Phil said, prepare detailed engineering plans and, take it from there.
Just a quick poll of the board, based on the comments that I just made. Is anybody disinterested in having the road repaired based on, its current condition?
Definitely interested in getting repaired. Just my only curiosity is because of the ebbs and flows up and down, vertical. How is that going to be addressed at long term? This road doesn't, like, for lack of better terminology, collapse, right? Because
Yes.
we are going up and down. Now we're going to fill it. We're going to make it straight. Try to make it straight.
Yeah, we would straighten out portions of it. What we've shown is kind of the ideal alignment from the grading standpoint. When a road is constructed, and again, this is just a conceptual design, there's going to be culvert sections, the culvert bridges, and the materials that are used have to meet current standards in terms of drivability and long-term wear and tear. So when we build the road, for example, we designed the reconstruction of Harriman Drive as part of the Legoland project. So that area and that roadway was really in disrepair, and the road was totally rebuilt. The subbase, there were geotechnical issues that we had to overcome because of poor soils. So as part of the design effort, what happens is a more detailed survey to identify any environmentally sensitive areas, which we didn't see any in our concept plan. So if there was any wetlands or other areas that we needed to preserve, that would be taken into account. Geotechnical investigation to see where there's rock and or poor soils. That all goes into the design. And that's what Mr. Richmond is referring to as going to the next level. We haven't gone there yet because we wanted to get a conceptual, we're not going to go through that expense if it's not something the town wants. But those are all engineering items that get addressed, and it has to be done to current standards.
The cost for all this is borne by you guys. This won't cost the town anything. So the sidewalks, the road realignment, the drainage, the culverts are all at the expense of the
Correct.
developer.
Okay, so I'm just going to make a motion to adjourn to a time that's convenient for everyone. Dan, when is a good moment for your client?
As soon as your board can. I don't know if you want to see if anyone's here to speak at the hearing.
Speaking to them, sir.
Just, I don't know if you want to.
Oh, yeah, that's actually correct, but I meant in terms of your presentation, I think we,
We're ready to go as soon as your board is. Again, all we're looking for at this point is your board needs to make, under the statute, a public interest determination that this isn't a public interest. And as we've been saying, then we take it to the next level with more detailed plans.
so then you're not looking for an adjournment, you'd like us, if we're prepared to take a vote about if we feel that this is warranted to further inspect and that it's in the public interest to have the road realigned. That's basically what you're looking for.
Well, I don't know if you're ready to do it tonight. I don't want to push you to anything
Yeah.
you're uncomfortable. And I know, like Darius, we probably need a negative declaration.
Yeah, I think we need to adjourn in at least 2 weeks to,
These are just two separate things. We're not doing any approvals. If we're making a resolution that we believe that this is worth, exploring, it's, and that they're going to go through a seeker process, that's one thing, but we're not doing any approvals, so.
Yeah, there's a provision under the law, under Town Law 200 Sub 8, that talks about the public interest determination, so before they can move forward. So I think we'd probably need to maybe do secret before that. So, yeah, it commits the board to a potential action. So we need to prepare a resolution on that first. So what I would do is adjourn
Okay.
it.
So the recommendation is, yes, we're going to adjourn. If a public interest vote is a specific outlined legal process, then we need to know what that is. I thought you were just gauging the interest of the board in that we are interested in having this remediated. We would like to be 100% certain that there's no adverse environmental impacts or socio impacts to the surrounding area, and we'll be in touch. I don't think anyone on the board has any problems with exploring and going through the process. When would your client like to adjourn this for? And also, Darius, what's the extent of the public good resolution? Because do they actually have to go through secret first?
Yeah, that's the question. I want to look at that a little closely. We could put it on either for 2 weeks for the 20th or the May 4th meeting, either one. May 4th would probably be a little more conservative in making sure we get it done. So that. Finalize the necessary resolution.
I'd rather have it on for May 4th since it keeps getting pushed to like the next meeting, and it just takes up time. So I will do that as soon as we just affirm that no one is here to speak on behalf or
I don't have any public.
project. Oh, thank you. So I'm going to make the motion that we adjourn the continuation of the public hearing regarding road improvement petition 7 Springs Road realignment for Monday, May 4th.
At 7 p.m.
I'm assuming that Mary is seconding
I'm
the
seconding,
motion.
yes.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Thank you very much. Look forward to working with you on this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to make a motion that the town board accept the March 16th, 2026 town board meeting minutes.
Bingham will second.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Thank you. On to audit of. Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Monroe approves abstract of audited vouchers escrow number 26-04, check numbers 2279 through 2279. Someone just go that. Nope, it's only one. There, 26-00267 through 26-00279, let's say that, in the amount totaling $24,224.90. Let's
Bingham
do
will
that.
second.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Now we have the next abstract of audited vouchers from check number 26-00459 through 26-00490 in the amount of $252,012.92.
Second.
Yes, I said 93 cents, and then Rivera seconded. Richardson calls the question.
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Thank you.
Can I just go back 1 minute to that first abstract? Who made the motion? You made the motion?
I made the motion
then who
for
seconded
both.
it?
Mary.
Okay, thank you.
Seconded the first one. Lewis seconded the second one.
Thank you.
And then all said aye to both. And now we're into new business. Someone has to do this for me. It's
Sapphire
the
Dam.
Collier's authorization for the supervisors to sign.
I'm there. You want me to read it real quick? Okay, authorization for the supervisor to sign the Sapphire Dam Colliers engineering agreement, authorization, and let it be resolved that the town board of the town of Monroe made the following resolution. Whereas the Sapphire Dam is a critical infrastructure asset of the Sapphire Dam Drainage District that requires an extensive and necessary rebuilding process to address longstanding structural deficiencies. And whereas the town board, acting as commissioners for said district, is committed to the full-scale remediation and reconstruction of the dam to ensure long-term public safety and flood mitigation. And whereas Collier's Engineering and Design has submitted a professional services proposal approved by the Sapphire Lake HOA to provide the specialized engineering design and oversight required to advance the rebuilding phase of this project. And whereas the town board finds that this agreement is a vital step in navigating the complex regulatory and technical requirements inherent in rebuilding a high hazard infrastructure asset. Now therefore be it resolved that the town supervisors hereby authorized and directed to execute the engineering agreement with Collier's Engineering and Design for services related to the ongoing rebuilding of the Sapphire Dam outlined in the attached scope of work in the amount of $13,500. These charges will be applied to the residents of the Sapphire Dam Drainage District.
Second.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Am I?
Aye.
Stevens, aye.
So eloquent, Lou. Okay, let's see. Now we're going to authorize union overtime. So be it resolved that the town board of the town of Monroe makes the following resolution. Whereas the town of Monroe has scheduled its annual Clean Sweep Community Beautification event for Saturday, May 2nd, 2026. And whereas the success and safety of this event require the professional services and manual labor provided by the town's dedicated union workforce. And whereas the town board recognizes that performing these duties on a Saturday necessitates the authorization of overtime compensation in accordance with current collective bargaining agreements. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the necessary overtime for employees represented by the IBEW 363 and the Teamsters Union to perform duties related to the Clean Sweep event on May 2nd. Authorized activities include, but are not limited to, debris collection, site maintenance, equipment operation, and logistical support as directed by the supervisor and relevant department heads. I don't know if I have to even say the next part, but I'm just going to be authorized to pay said overtime from the appropriately designated budget lines allocated for the 2026 Clean Sweep fiscal year.
Not just the supervisor, the entire board always approves the payroll.
Yeah, it's not a
So,
conflict.
yeah.
It's just the way it's worded. So,
Yeah.
do I have a second?
Rivera, second.
Thank you. Richardson calls the question. I don't have to say it like that. Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Thank you. We have,
All right, we were doing authorization of our town parking lot, Omni Restaurant. They are requesting it on May 10th. Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Monroe made the following resolution, whereas Somni Restaurant has requested authorization to utilize the town-owned parking lot adjacent to their establishment for a Mother's Day vendor event. Provide a benefit to residents. Is required to provide a certificate of insurance naming the town of Monroe as an additional insured to protect the town against potential liability. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby authorizes Somni Restaurant to use the designated town-owned parking lot for a vendor event on May 10th, 2026. The town acknowledges the receipt of the necessary certificate of insurance and waives any rental fee associated with the space. Somni will be responsible for all setup, breakdown, and the removal of all debris from town-owned property following the conclusion of the event.
call the question? Or sorry,
Bingham
someone
will
has a second, and
Bingham will second.
Bingham seconds. Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
I'd like to just state for the record that that's
Well, And now we have the annual food truck festival, which we are making the announcement, resolution that whereas the town of Monroe is scheduled to host its annual Town of Monroe Food Truck Festival on Sunday, June 14th, 2026, and whereas the town board desires to utilize the O&R Park facility to accommodate the expected vendors, food trucks, and public attendance for this community event, and now therefore be it resolved that the Town of Monroe Town Board hereby authorizes the use of O&R Park for the annual Town of Monroe Food Truck Festival on June 14th, and further authorizes the town, highway department, maintenance department, and Dial-A-Ride to coordinate all necessary site preparations, traffic control, and sanitation services required for the event and for the town to incur the necessary overtime costs with the IBEW 363 and Teamsters unions.
Rivera will second.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Cousins Maine Lobster has already RSVP'd. Spoiler alert, that's why it's on a Sunday this year, because we went out of our way for lobster. One laugh in the audience. Now we have the end of the probationary period for Greg Beggendorf, the highway department. So this is a resolution authorizing that his 3-month probationary period has ended. So be it resolved that the town board of the town of Monroe makes a resolution authorizing the end of the 3-month probationary period for Greg Beggendorf, heavy equipment operator in the highway department, effective April 6th, 2026, as he was hired on January 6th, 2026, and has since proven to be a great asset to the department.
Bingham will second.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Thank you. And we have Deputy Registrar.
So currently, Barbara Singer, my deputy, is a sub-registrar with vitals in regards to death certificates. Since Patty has retired, I am looking to move Barbara up to deputy registrar from sub-registrar.
Understood. I'll make that motion. Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Monroe is appointing Barbara Singer as deputy registrar. Barbara is currently a sub-registrar with her term, is her current term set to expire 12/31, or the deputy registrar?
That's the deputy registrar.
With her new deputy registrar term to expire 12/31/2026.
Bingham will second.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Those are actually both the
Okay. Okay, we've got a settlement. I'm gonna read the whereases and then you can do the resolution if that's fine, or you wanna read the whole thing? I think it's not too bad. Do
I
you
can
wanna
read
do
the
it?
whole thing.
Yeah, okay.
So we want to accept a settlement agreement with the amended Forest Wood LLC, whereas the previous administration entered into an agreement with Forest Wood LLC, which obligated the town of Monroe to collect specific settlement revenues. And whereas the previous supervisor budgeted these payments as revenue, yet defaulted on the town's obligations under said agreement in collection of the final payments, resulting in the failure to bring the expected $172,000 into the 2025 town budget, and whereas the current town board seeks to rectify this administrative failure by ensuring the collection of these funds for the 2026 town budget, and whereas to ensure consistent compliance and the successful recovery of funds, the settlement terms have been amended to adjust the installment payments into more manageable amounts for the payer. Now therefore be resolved that the town board hereby accepts and approves the settlement agreement amendment with Forest Wood LLC, including the revised schedule of adjusted installment payments. The board acknowledges that this revenue, originally intended for the prior fiscal year, will now be realized and accounted for within the 2026 town budget. Be it further resolved, the town board is hereby authorized and directed to execute the amended agreements and all related documents necessary to effectuate these terms.
I just need you to say, the supervisors.
And the supervisor is authorized to sign the settlement agreement as amended.
She needs a second.
Yep, Rivera will second.
Call the question?
Rivera, aye.
Hingham, aye.
Richardson, aye. Okay, now we have the appointment of Sue Ciriello as part-time account clerk. So whereas the Town of Monroe Finance Department currently operates with only one staff member, creating a critical need for additional support to ensure fiscal accuracy and continuity, and whereas the position of account clerk has remained unfilled since December 2025, during which time the only remaining staff member and the supervisor's office have subsumed these essential financial responsibilities to maintain town operations, and whereas the town board recognizes that continued reliance on the supervisor's office to perform these departmental functions is unsustainable, and that a dedicated appointment is necessary to restore proper administrative balance, and whereas Susan Ciriello has been identified as a qualified candidate capable of providing the immediate support required by the finance department, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Monroe hereby appoints Susan Ciriello to the position of part-time account clerk, and be it further resolved that in light of the vacancy existing since 2025, this appointment is effective immediately as of Monday, April 6, 2026, and be it further resolved that the rate of compensation for this position shall be set at $25 per hour.
I just have to question, is she starting tomorrow?
Yes, we just approved it as immediate. And
Am I saying she'll be?
I think so.
Do you need a second?
I do.
Bingham will second.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Discussion. I'm and in the language last few of these. While I need to ask.
That's just speaking in the mic.
Sorry. And the supervisor's office have subsumed these essential financial responsibilities. What does that mean?
It means that the person who vacated this position left a workload which I have taken on as my workload, including but not limited to water billing, questions about water accounts, closing water accounts, and everything in the finance department that the only remaining staff member, myself, and the secretary to the supervisor take care of from 8 to 4 every day.
But I thought that's why we went with that accounting firm.
We did not sign with them because there were questions about how much money this would cost per hour. So
We did not sign with them?
No, we have not expensed with that, as we had a team huddle afterward, and it just, I mean, we've done everything in our power to save taxpayer dollars, and we had the internal capabilities of handling it, and as described at the previous town board meetings, we were signing with them in case that one employee and myself were put in a situation similar to when that person had to go out for a number of days, where if there was an incident, the wheels of the town had to run.
Yeah, I remember being handed the contract just a few minutes before the meeting started. I did understand the position that our finance staff was in. I felt like I was put between a rock and a hard place when I had to agree to that, but I did. And so I guess I'm going to approve Susan for the part-time account clerk, but isn't it a conflict of interest that someone who is approving budget abstracts and budget transfers is the same person entering those transactions into the system?
No, that's the job of the budget officer to do those things, and it's the job of a supervisor to do those things. So that's just the nature of municipal law, and it is good that we're having other users log into the system, as we could get dinged as a town for Fran being a power user. So right now, because there's only Fran and myself doing administrative tasks, we do have to be careful of how she is, basically there's admin software, and if you do too much tasks, too many tasks, certain types of tasks, certain combinations of tasks, it's all set up so that when our auditors go through this system that there's a balance of power and a balance of users. That's not, what you just cited is not a concern. And in fact, in smaller municipalities where there isn't this much work, the supervisor is not entitled to 2 separate appointments. So how I'm in a first-class town as supervisor, entitled to secretary to the supervisor and bookkeeper to the supervisor, in a smaller town, you're only entitled to 1, you have to choose, and that inherently applies the meaning that there are tasks that the supervisor, as budget officer, as whatever position, full-time administrator, can be set up differently in different towns, but that's our setup here, has to complete tasks, and in a larger populace, it's understood that they need to externalize those tasks and have help with those tasks. So right now, we used to have 3 people in the finance department. We have 1. That person is an account clerk. That's it. They're not a senior account clerk. They're not a bookkeeper. They're not a comptroller. It's just the supervisor, who's the full-time town administrator, and the budget officer working with account clerk 1. And
I do
she's
want
been
to say that Fran has
fantastic.
been really fantastic.
Oh, yeah, I go, yeah.
I'm really
I have
surprised
no
at how
doubt.
many vouchers she can process and understands what accounting lines they all go to
Yes.
in the budget transfer. So I do want to say kudos to Fran, because without her, it really would not have flowed as smoothly as it has.
We would have been completely reliant
Yeah.
on the Miss Williams and her consulting firm that was recommended to us, as you said, at the last minute, and we had to authorize that subject to attorney approval, because if there was an incident, we would be completely relying just on the budget officer. And I'm not allowed to process certain things in the system at all, and it just wouldn't be feasible with all the work that we already do. But I was able to jump in and do the role that Susan is starting off at.
Okay. Again, glad we're bringing on another part-time account clerk. I hope that we're still working towards correcting that finance department, right-sizing it up, and, to include a bookkeeper. But yeah, I just wanted to understand if our supervisor was engaging in account clerk responsibility.
Before you go on, I just want to clarify that last portion, because Mary, for how long you've been on the board, I think you might agree that where it says, be it further resolved that in light of this vacancy existing since 2025, this appointment is effective immediately as of Monday, April 6, 2026. And be it further resolved that the rate of compensation for the position shall be set at $25 per hour. So the way that's worded, effective immediately, it sounds like she's starting tomorrow, getting paid tomorrow that amount, as opposed to where these resolutions usually say with a start date of.
She's approved effective immediately to work, because she may have come in today. She did not. We just made it that way in the agenda. This is completely normal motion language. I don't know if you want to take this question.
The
Well,
question
I also think
is
she's
she
part-time.
part-time, so it's
She's
hourly?
part-time.
So she only gets
She's
paid if
just
she
approved-
works?
Yes, which she didn't. So it's not saying she worked when she didn't work. She's approving someone effective immediately, and the resolution language is just, it's Monday.
She'll have to
4/6.
submit time entries, I would assume.
Yes, it has nothing to do with compensating someone for who hasn't come in. So she's just approved to work as a part-timer.
Val, I never said Stephen's eye, just so you have it.
Did we even call the question yet? Oh, yeah, so question, when we make the motion and someone seconds it, you second it for discussion, or a second, you can call discussion right after the second. Because the discussion will happen, and you can talk about it for the vote. So next agenda item, appointment of Ed, there we go. I know that guy. So whereas the town board authorizes the transition of the dial-a-ride offices to expand into the unused bottom level of the senior center, and whereas following the departure of the previous senior center director, the position was subsequently defunded by the prior administration, resulting in an undue burden on the supervisor's office, which continues to carry a significant weight of program coordination and administrative oversight due to these budget constraints, and whereas the town board now finds it advantageous to further consolidate senior center trip and transportation responsibilities under a dedicated director to alleviate this administrative strain and more efficiently serve the senior population of the town. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Monroe hereby appoints Ed Morales to the position of Senior Center Transportation Director and Trip Advisor, and be it further resolved that the duties of this position shall include, but are not limited to, the oversight of senior transport scheduling, vehicle maintenance coordination to and from the senior center, and the planning and execution of town-sponsored senior trips, oversight of the seniors and activities. And be it further resolved that this appointment is assigned a $20,000 stipend and will be effective immediately as of April 6th, 2026.
Rivera will second.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
And I will say Ed has been at the senior center, not just today, but many days prior, and done a wonderful job organizing things and looking into the most efficient use of the seniors' activities that they can do there. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you so much, Ed. You've been a lifesaver in more ways than one, and we look forward to having you fully moved into the senior center with everybody alongside you with Dial-A-Ride. And speaking of Dial-A-Ride, we have a new hire over there. So we have the appointment of Amy Semprevivo as part-time Dial-A-Ride driver. So now, therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Monroe hereby appoints Amy Semprevivo to the position of driver with Dial-A-Ride, and be it further resolved that the rate of compensation for this position shall be set at $22.47 per hour, effective April 6th. And be it further resolved that this appointment is subject to all applicable Department of Transportation regulations, background checks, and standard probationary requirements as mandated by the town of Monroe and Orange County.
Rivera will second.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Aye.
Another person to thank for taking on the full-time duties that our former account clerk vacated in December. So a big shout out to Angelina. Whereas there is a requirement for the administration of townwide water billing, including the processing of adjustments and quarterly billing, utilizing the Edmunds GovTech system, and whereas there has been a substantial turnover in the finance department, resulting in one employee in the supervisor's office bearing said workload on a temporary basis during the transition, and whereas the town board desires to assign these specialized duties to Angelina Olson in addition to her current responsibilities as secretary to the highway superintendent, and whereas the town board recognizes the increased technical requirements, training, and workload associated with these financial duties, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Monroe hereby assigns Angelina Olson the additional duties of water department billing and admin system management, as well as water department administration under the additional title secretary to the water administrator. Be it further resolved that in consideration of these additional responsibilities, Angelina Olson shall receive an annual stipend in the amount of $4,500 to be paid in step with her biweekly pay, effective immediately. And be it further resolved that this stipend shall remain in effect as long as these additional duties are performed, but until the position is further restructured inside the water department or otherwise amended by the town board.
Will second.
I'm just going to add a discussion just to explain the last resolved. So our goal, which is not included in this motion right now, is that, as I was recapping with Beth during her question, there was a designated account clerk who not only did water billing, but general financial duties and assisted in the finance department. With all of the restructuring that's gone on and the fact that Angelina is such a self-starter. She was really instrumental in the idea that not only should she be the secretary to the highway department and also handling our refuse and sort of taking on a clerk type role over there, that she, for right now, adopt this title similar to Noreen McSweeney, who was secretary to planning and zoning and did a fantastic job. But that because these responsibilities would now be plucked out of the finance department, it could be funded in future budgets and taxed under the drinking water lines only. So this is our goal for the future, but right now we're likely going to be pulling this stipend out of the unused pay lines for the finance department because this is where it currently resided and was budgeted. But in the future, we will be needing to expand the water department. And Mary, you can speak to this also, that John certainly needs help.
John needs help, and that will be, again, for the upcoming budget and for 2027. Right now, he's a one-man show, and Angelina has really stepped up, even though she wasn't officially taking on the role for the water meter reading. She was very instrumental in helping John organize when new meters had to be put in. She was keeping track of all that, so she learned that already. And she did meet with Helen Knickerbocker and Fran, actually, to learn the water billing system since that first quarter came up very quickly on us, and those water bills needed to come out. And she has already scheduled training with the supplier of the water, not only Edmonds, but the other company that does the water, Badger, and there's going to be more training, and she has really stepped up. But again, there's a restructuring going on. Some of these water systems need a lot of help, not only financially, but technically and operational-wise. There's a lot of detail that goes into it. So yes, this is definitely going to be a discussion in the coming months when we work on the budget to how realign things so it works more efficiently, and people who are involved with it don't get the information secondhand. They're getting it directly. They're right in the flow, so to speak.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big help because Angelina is already working directly with John. And just to further elucidate what might be going on for the next budget cycle is that not only has John completely relied on Angelina for help, but he will be needing another hand in the field as well.
Right, because one person cannot work 7 days a week, 365 days. He has to go out and do all the
but he has.
He has, yes.
And thank you so much, John.
With occasional help from one of the other highway guys who gives him a brief weekend off here and there.
If he goes on vacation, we might not have drinking water. So everybody keep some extra water bottles at home. He's a real trooper. He never takes a break.
Yeah.
We all have the same work ethic here at the town. It's contagious. But we are looking to restructure with all these personnel.
Basically streamline,
He needs a break. He needs a hammock.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to call the question.
You all vote on that?
No, we did, Mary seconded, and then I called a discussion just to be able to talk further about the future.
She seconded, right?
She seconded,
Okay.
I called discussion, now I'm calling the
Rivera, aye.
question. Aye.
Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Okay.
All right, so I guess the next one I'm going to bring up. So item 8.12, address prior administrative salary reductions, supervisor budget, officer stipend. Whereas the town board recognizes that the position of town supervisor serves as both the chief executive officer and a chief fiscal officer, also known as budget officer, responsibilities that require extensive financial oversight and statutory accountability. And whereas a prior administration took action to eliminate the, is it 20,000 or 18,000, Mary?
20,000 in
It says
the
20,000 here, but
resolution, so,
okay,
yeah.
let's just leave it at 20,000. 20,000 budget officer stipend, an act which resulted in a 20% decrease in total compensation for the supervisor's role in opposition to the fair pay expectation outlined in New York State General Municipal Law and left the mandated duties of the budget officer entirely uncompensated, a change which the previous administration only made after receiving unfavorable election results. And whereas the town board finds that this reduction was not based on a decrease in workload or performance, but was a targeted administrative action that undermined the financial stability and professional standing of the office at a time when workload substantially increased during the post-election transition period for the new administration, and whereas the board deems it necessary and equitable to restore a fair level of compensation for the complex duties associated with preparing, filing, and managing the town's annual budget, as well as daily fiscal oversight in accordance with the additional roles of the supervisor's office has been taken on during the transition, and whereas the town board acknowledges that the town supervisor currently operates without the support of a dedicated bookkeeper to the supervisor, whose budgeted salary was over $99,000, that person is an assistant to the CFO, and that the cost of the town to hire an external or separate budget officer would far exceed the amount of restored stipend, making the supervisor's assumption of these duties the most fiscally responsible option for the taxpayers. And therefore, be it resolved that the Town Board of Monroe hereby restores the budget officer stipend in the amount of $15,000 annually, and let it be resolved that the funds for this compensation shall be allocated from the unexpended salary lines of the individuals who stepped away from various departments, resulting in no additional net increase to the town's budgeted personnel costs, and let it be resolved that this stipend shall be retroactive to January 1st, 2026, and shall be paid in equal installments through the remainder of the fiscal year, and be it further resolved that the town finance department is hereby authorized to perform any necessary budget transfers to this fund line item for the 2026 fiscal year. So I'm assuming you guys, well, it's discussion. Any discussion?
Yes. I don't have a problem with restoring the stipend. Where I am growing really uncomfortable is the language that is being used. It's nothing personal. Over the last few months, I've learned that we all have a different communication style. I'm not politicizing most of my statements. It's just not who I am. It comes from my apolitical Army background. But I believe that how you communicate is just as important as what you communicate. And I believe that governance and taking care of our residents does not need to be politically charged. And so I just, this could be a much more simple resolution. It doesn't need a lot of what is here. That's one thing. Two, the statement that this is the most fiscally responsible option. I don't have a problem with the stipend. I question the timing. And it goes back to what we were talking about before. At one point we had bookkeeper and account clerk, lost the bookkeeper. And then that's why that contract was presented to us. I totally got that we were stuck between a rock and a hard place. You remember, I was able to ask some questions, and one of my biggest questions at the time was that we'll be able to remove ourselves from this at some time. Because I wasn't comfortable with approving that contract unless we could remove it.
Sorry, what are you saying, that we could remove it? Oh, from the contract?
Yes, so we could end the relationship with the firm, and that there wouldn't be any, ongoing financial obligations.
We did not sign with them. So we did not, there was no financial obligation unless we used their time, A. And B, as I said earlier, just to address it one point at a time, I don't mean to interrupt, it's just becoming, I will forget. It's non-obligational in the first place. We didn't sign, and we had a team huddle that we wanted to save money on behalf of the taxpayers. And I think language is important, and there isn't anything political about this. And what was political is that someone lost an election and then hacked the salary for a young woman preceding them. And that's been a theme.
That's political.
That was not our act.
But you're making your statements political moving forward. And I choose to not be a part of it. Going back to the contract, I have been told by other board members that while, yes, we have not expensed on it, we did agree to it, and it is still there in case we need it. So which is the current standing?
Until you sign it, is that when
It's not an agreement. It's not signed.
It's not signed. You did
anything.
not sign it.
It's there, and we voted to sign it at the authorization of the town attorney. So we went over this at the last meeting. What it means when the town board votes from the floor, votes from the last minute, votes in an urgent situation, they designate an authority figure, which could be the clerk, could be myself, could be the attorney, that it's at their discretion for, it could be you, if you are the liaison to the police, and we needed to decide something as a board at our normally scheduled meeting, because we weren't gonna haul everyone in at midnight on a Saturday to discuss it. It's just the way that this machine chugs along and functions, is that during this transition period, anything could have happened. So while me and Fran, and especially Fran, I had the utmost faith and confidence in her, as we discussed, you never know what is going to happen. I think that's evident from the fact that we lost Noreen extremely unexpectedly, and now we're in a space where there is no one who knows how to do that job, and we have no idea when, as a town, we're going to be able to bring in someone at all, let alone train them up to the confidence and competence level of someone. And that's just the way that this animal is, that we don't hire people who intern or train alongside because we save every penny. Like we said, if something, God forbid, happened to John Mulligan tomorrow, the town would have no water. And that actually scares me so bad now.
We would have somebody, please.
So
They would just not have all the knowledge that
So
John
I
has.
think we've gotten
yes.
pretty far off topic
Yeah.
now that we're
Yeah.
talking about other staff
Yeah,
members.
you did bring
Yeah.
up the contract, and this is just what I'm saying. We needed to have people who you're right, that those rates per hour were exorbitant. And Lewis and I were also correct that we were all between a rock and a hard place and had to agree to that contract, but only expense it in the utmost necessary position. So I'm very pleased to announce that we didn't spend $1 of taxpayer money on a contract in having an external system come in, because Fran does our payroll. I was able to jump in with the water billing. Everything that we've put out in these motions are actually deeply important to myself and to the secretary, to the supervisor, and to board members who put in their 2 cents on these, because we have been working extremely hard, and what was done to the town was political. So I'm sorry that you feel that our response is equally political. I don't feel that way, but I'll certainly take it as a no.
So, yeah, I would recommend, I mean, I'm just one person, so I know it's likely not going to happen. I would recommend that we table it, that we don't vote yay or nay, so that we can ensure that all of these resolutions moving forward, this one specifically, that it doesn't feel politically charged in nature, so that it's easier for differing.
So why don't we just make it an amendment to the motion if you're not willing
I
to
wasn't
vote
done.
on this one?
I wasn't done.
Because it's really about compensation,
I
and
wasn't
that's
done.
really what's at hand.
Also, I would feel more comfortable moving forward with that, knowing that that we have right-sized the staff in the finance department, and that contract is no longer on the table.
I'm sorry, could you please clarify
You keep-
your asks? Because you've now gone off on to multiple topics, including the contract multiple times when we have a motion at hand.
You said it's there if we need it to expense it. I want to know that it's not.
It was not,
It's
we
never been signed.
we authorized the supervisor to sign it upon approval of the town attorney, and you never signed it. So it's still an option out there. We gave her the approval to sign it if she thinks she needs it, but she doesn't think she needs it, and the town attorney has probably found other things in it that could be revised in the future. So
I just, $285 an hour is a lot.
it is.
And
That's why we went out of the way not to use it, and then you say that the language that we put in to the other resolutions is political. That's deeply personal to me. I'm not being paid for the extra jobs that I'm doing.
it's not personal. No, it's not personal.
I'm saying for me, that's why it's written this way. I've been doing every job. It's not because I want to, it's because I have dedicated my life as a public servant as I work along women who are also not being paid appropriately, including the clerk and our other employees in this town. And it is a personal thing. We've waited now till April 6th to restore this compensation. And the fact that I have taken on completely additional roles because we were left in a lurch in so many different ways just to keep the town running.
So I don't need to talk in circles. It's simple to me. I don't agree with this language. An option. I want the option.
You're discussing contract during the dedicated discussion time for the motion at hand.
I'm just letting you know why I'm uncomfortable with it.
I need you to separate and ask clearly what goal you have for each, because this is the discussion period for this motion.
I am not comfortable authorizing this stipend until I know we have right-sized the finance department.
That can't happen because there are no qualified people. So Sue Ciriello is right-sizing the staff. There are two issues that I already, first of all, saying that you're not going to provide compensation which existed for the previous role of supervisor.
I just think it's bad timing.
Bad timing of you don't want to pay someone who's worked now for 4 months doing all of the jobs that have been vacated, so you don't want to pay them for the extra work that they're doing, as opposed to right-sizing the departments and then paying someone.
I don't see it as extra work. I see it as the duties that you need.
See it as extra work that the supervisor of the town be doing the account clerk's duties, which you tried to call conflict of interest, and then criticized me for doing.
I think being the chief financial officer is hand in hand with the town supervisor job.
So you would say that the budget officer aspect of my job being $0, am I making less than every single male department head because of the political
that's what she's saying.
situation?
It's not what I'm saying.
That's what
that's
I'm
not
hearing.
what she's saying.
No,
I'm
you're putting words in my mouth, Maureen.
So
I kept
would
it very
what?
simple. I kept it very simple. You're putting words in my mouth, bringing up
I've offered to
women
make them,
and men,
well,
and it's got nothing to do with it,
it
Maureen.
actually does, because I'm being paid less than every single male department head and less than the person who was here before me who did less work. I've taken in the bookkeeper's position. We haven't used a single dollar in the contract, and you've both criticized and complimented that. So if you'd like to revoke permissions for that contract, I have no problem with it. If you want to say, let's unapprove the people that we assigned to come in and help us in case there's a huge problem and a fire in the finance department, and that way we can call a special meeting when we feel that we need to tow in the board, I'm completely fine with that. But we don't have a bookkeeper, and I'm doing that job, and I'm entitled to a bookkeeper.
Can I get a second?
What you do.
I'm not even sure what is going on anymore because this motion about fixing the stipend, which she said she had no problem restoring, turned into a
Maureen,
discussion about the contract. So I
Maureen?
don't know what the goal is here.
I've feel like I've explained myself very clearly. I feel like Councilman Bingham understands what I'm explaining.
I've already offered to revoke that permission, and we've already explained to you that there isn't permission for the contract, so there's really nothing to revoke.
Because you never signed it.
Yes.
That's why. It's an option if you sign it,
And
but
we've
you have
already-
not signed it.
And we've already offered to neutralize just saying we're restoring the stipend if you don't like this resolution. So I've asked that you clarify what goal you have here. Because right-sizing the finance department and waiting to do that and not paying someone who's doing the additional labors, that doesn't work. And it doesn't go hand in hand, as I can drop this responsibility and pull away from the town and show up for one day a year and still be neatly compensated at the base rate that was budgeted.
I don't understand why you would even make a statement like that.
Because I work really hard, and I guess I want people to know that.
Okay, well, that sounded like, kind of like a threat.
You know that, and,
So I've made my statement. I think we should just move on for the vote.
all right. So,
We're off.
So I
just call the
motioned, I need a
question.
second, right? No?
Yes,
Is that a second?
that was a second. Valerie, could you just confirm who made the motion, I think?
Of down Lewis for the motion and Mary for a second.
Okay, so you want to call the question.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
Abstain.
Stevens, nay.
The vote is tabled to the next board meeting when there can be a full board for, what is that, Val?
Wasn't it passed
April
because we
20th.
have a majority of the board? No?
Majority of the full board.
So I would like to open a motion that we discuss the salaries of the council people, if I can have a second on that.
Second.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
I don't know where this is going. I'm going to vote nay. I don't know.
So you're not willing to revoke your own salary?
I'm voting nay, because...
Richardson, aye.
Just to discuss salaries, I don't think it's
Sounds like
appropriate
this is
now.
obvious retaliatory on the spot.
Oh.
Stevens, nay.
Okay, so you're not willing to take a lowering of your salary, but you haven't come into the town except for to put your name on the payroll and to grab a cell phone, and you haven't actually checked your email, responded to email, but you're making $17,500 as a council member. Were you aware that that's triple the amount of any neighboring municipality?
Maureen, I don't know why you're trying to make this personal.
Actually, it's just budgetary. I'm the budget officer.
Okay,
and-
well, I speak to constituents every day. I check my email every day. I return emails every day.
You don't even
Just-
have your phone number listed on the town website.
Well, that's because people have been so used to using my primary one that they've had for the first few months. Look, I'm not going to get baited into this.
It's not
okay?
a bait. I think that if you're willing to play with the entire salary scale of the town, because it traps all of our employees into a salary scale and box, because I'm the one who's in charge of every single department, but you're unwilling to even open a public hearing defending your own salary, I think that's telling.
I think I'd like to make a motion to continue with the agenda with the appointment of Francisca for Deputy Budget Officer.
Second that.
I have to let you know that all of the personnel decisions that I made were contingent on my being here as the daily full-time town administrator and the budget officer at a fairly compensated rate. So I'm not actually willing to continue on at an uncompensated rate. So I had already discussed this with the town attorney. I don't know if you want to speak on opening up
I was
the
just
search.
wondering, proposal here, to, if Councilmember Stevens and the board would consider a motion to provide the stipend for $15,000 as budget officer and other duties you've done without the additional language. Is that something the board would want to consider?
I would like
Would
to take,
consider.
I thought we already agreed to table it until our other council person is here.
That was that particular
If
motion.
this would be a new resolution without that added language, and we could vote on that separately.
Right.
That's what we
Right.
offered, yeah.
pass.
I would go for that.
Someone can make the motion, it's not stopping anyone.
I would make the motion that we offer the $15,000 stipend to the supervisor for the budget officer position.
Rivera will second.
Call the question.
Aye.
Bingham, aye.
recuse.
Stevens, aye.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
So I have to interrupt here because I am like so lost on this agenda item.
So Valerie, we settled on just that motion where all the whereases was denied. We're no longer tabling it because it was resolved by a subsequent motion, and the subsequent motion was just to restore the budget officer's stipend to $15,000 to compensate for the budget officer's duty of the town supervisor. Thank you, everyone. So whereas the Town of Monroe Finance Department has undergone a period of significant transition, operating with a single staff member following the departure of multiple personnel, whereas Fran Tapia Santos has performed Herculean efforts on behalf of the town, successfully subsuming a gamut of responsibilities that span the entirety of the finance department's operation, ensure the uninterrupted continuity of town business alongside the supervisor's office. And whereas the town board recognizes these expanded duties include critical budgetary oversight, financial reporting, and daily fiscal management that far exceed the standard requirements of her primary role. And whereas the town board finds it both equitable and necessary to formally recognize the increase in responsibility through a dedicated appointment and corresponding compensation, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Monroe hereby appoints Francisca Tapio Santos to the position of Deputy Budget Officer, effective immediately, and be it further resolved that in recognition of these additional duties, Francisca Tapio Santos shall receive a $5,000 to be paid in regular installments. And be it further resolved that the funds for this compensation shall be allocated from the unexpended salary lines of the individuals who have stepped away from the Finance Department, resulting in no additional net increase to the town's budgeted personnel costs until her role can be fully reevaluated and compensated accordingly for next year's budget. Be it further resolved that the town board extends its formal gratitude to Ms. Tapio Santos for her unwavering dedication and professional excellence during this challenging period. Second?
Rivera will second.
And I'm just going to say discussion that our previous deputy budget officer did receive a stipend of only $3,000, but her base compensation was much higher. So in full transparency, this is being used to identify what Fran's role will be until we can reconcile everything with county civil service department, compensate her for her additional duties that she subsumed during this time, and shouldn't be taken as a of what the deputy budget stipend should be worth in the future, but rather is being used on this temporary basis for her.
Responsibilities that she's assumed, yes.
Thank you.
Seconded, so.
Oh, call the question. I was drinking
Aye.
coffee.
Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
A. Now we are back to Kate O'Boyle, who has worked for the town for several years, and she has recently come up from an employee in the maintenance department to now head of maintenance, and she has also taken on great responsibility during this time, being the sole maintenance employee. So whereas the town of Monroe requires consistent oversight of its athletic fields and the coordination of sports calendars to ensure the safety and enjoyment of the community, and whereas some of these responsibilities were previously managed by the Parks Department, a position that was completely eliminated and defunded by the prior administration, leading to a restructuring of duties falling to the head of maintenance and the supervisor's office, and whereas Catherine O'Boyle has agreed to subsume these critical field maintenance and sports coordination duties in addition to her existing role, whereas the town board recognizes the specialized nature of the task and increased recreational standards, while assisting the supervisor in maintaining quality services that are reduced to cost to taxpayers during an uncertain financial transition. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Monroe hereby assigns Catherine O'Boyle the additional responsibilities of field maintenance oversight and sports coordination. And be it further resolved that in consideration of these expanded duties, Kate shall be awarded an annual stipend in the amount of $4,000 for the duration of the park season, effective immediately. Be it further resolved that this stipend shall be paid in regular installments and shall continue for the duration that these additional duties are performed.
Second.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Okay, now we have Aiden Brown. I know that guy. Whereas there exists a seasonal need for additional maintenance and labor support at Smith Clove Park to ensure the facility remains safe and well maintained for public use during peak season, and Aiden Brown has been identified as a suitable candidate to fulfill the duties of seasonal labor. And whereas the Park Commission and the Town Board have reviewed the staffing requirements and determined that this appointment is necessary for park facilities, now and therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Monroe appoints Aiden Brown to the position of seasonal labor at Smith Clove Park at the rate of compensation to be set at $22 per hour, effective Monday, April 6th, and is subject to all standard employment requirements of the Town of Monroe.
Second.
Richardson, sorry, excuse me. Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
So I'm just going to question one more time, and forgive me, but this is just how I've known it to be for my past 9.5 years. I know he is being paid hourly,
Yeah, he's just approved to work as of today.
but do we have a start date? Because usually the resolutions, correct me again, Mary, if I'm wrong, include
But this
a
has to
start
do
date.
with Smith Clove Park. They hire their own. So we're just saying it's okay.
It's okay as of today, and then it'll go to payroll, and his timesheets are signed by each department.
The Smith Clove
So,
Park.
whereas in the past, we might have been particular about the start date, it really doesn't matter.
He's not really hired by us.
Yeah.
We're just approving that Smith Clove Park can hire him because it's the village and the town.
Because
Yeah.
every payroll has to be signed and authorized not only by myself, but the department head on those timesheets. Yeah, thank you. And in the future, I'll get the start date. So the use of the senior center for the Town of Monroe Republican Committee, what happened here, Val? They're looking for their
So-
certificate?
In the beginning of the year, I think it might have been at reorg, I presented to the town board the meeting dates that the Republican Committee was requesting the room at the senior center. They had provided a certificate of insurance. However, that certificate of insurance expired in March. So now we have before you a new certificate of insurance, which covers the remainder of those dates that were originally requested back in January for use of the senior center for the Town of Monroe Republican Committee.
Okay, so we're just making the motion approving the last...
Approve the remainder of those dates.
The last 9 months, right, of the 2026 calendar year for the Town of Monroe Republican Committee for the following dates for the use of the senior center located at 101 Mine Road for the third Thursday of each month.
Correct, and they do pay a meeting fee of $25 per meeting.
I'll just make the motion that we accept the, approve the last 9 months for the 2026 calendar year outlined in the resolution before us. I don't think we have to read it, right, Darius, if everybody has it in front of them. So I'll just make that motion that we accept that.
Bingham will second.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye?
Stevens, aye.
All right, so we've got... What are we amending?
So this resolution was approved at the last meeting. However, there's certain wording that Ben needed as the building inspector to go with this, so Darius had drafted the resolution that you have. So that just needs to be approved.
Good enough for Ben. Shocking. I'll make a motion that the town board of the Town of Monroe adopt the following amended resolution.
Rivera will second.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
And we've reached public comment. God bless your souls.
First speaker for public comment is Dan Burke, followed by Carol Soteropoulos. You'll have 3 minutes. Please come up to the mic, announce your name, and leave the mic in the stand. Thank you.
Hi, this is Dan Burke, elder statesman, Rye Hill Road, Village of Monroe, Town of Monroe. I want to say I was down to the village board meeting, village trustees on Friday morning at 10 a.m. There's been an election, and our Neil Dwyer was the mayor, and we can congratulate him. He did that playground. I know our town supervisor participated in that also. And what I like personally too is they lit out 2 contracts to redo this intersection over here where Still Road meets Pine Tree, meets Orange Turnpike, meets Stage Road. And there's going to be rebuilt, and a traffic light up there too. And the traffic light contract, low bid was $171,000. So some of these things do cost money. But anyway, the meeting was very mellow, and it was a transition. There was a gracious goodbye, and they welcomed the new board members coming in and wished them best of luck. That's the way transitions are supposed to work. Well, that's not the way it worked here with the town of Monroe. The candidate that lost the election came back as a lame duck, and then took the budget apart so that the new board would have almost nothing to work with, and the new budget officer, that budget is twice as complicated as it should have been. And in order to, this is what he did over the last 2 years. He insulted, he cut off the councilwoman, and this one, his final blow was to take the money for the budget officer out of the budget. That's the last stroke as he's going out the door. And to let that stand is to join in that. And I wouldn't consent to letting what he did stand. That was an atrocity, and I think we should be angry about it and slam it and put it back in place. All right, thank you.
Next speaker is
Thanks,
Carol
Dan.
Soteropoulos, followed by Rick Colon.
Good evening, Carol Soteropoulos. I'm back here about the same issue as before, which is the New York for All Act. And I understand that it's not on your agenda tonight. I first came here on February 2nd about it, and I came back on March 16th. My hopes have been raised, my hopes have been dashed, my hopes have been raised, my hopes have been dashed. Anyway, it's not on the agenda, so I do have I take some responsibility for maybe not expressing the urgency of this, because we are living in a town where a high percentage of people are in fear. And I've gone before the Board of Education, before the village board. I'm all over the place because, I'm like a dog with a bone, as some have said. I call that passion. Yes, I have a passion for this issue because we have to protect people in this town. And you are the board. This act, I won't go into all the details, you've looked at it. It has to do with preventing collusion or cooperation from local officials with federal immigration authorities. And that is actually what is happening in our state more and more. There are 6 counties and several municipalities that have colluded, have cooperation agreements. Okay, so let's say we don't want that here. That's fine. You're a board that doesn't want that here. Village board doesn't want that here. Nobody wants that here. But you're elected. It happens like every 3 years. You know, there are new people, and you don't know what's going to happen. We have a new village board now. We don't know what's going to happen. And so it needs to be codified. That's the point. And to codify that, it has to happen in the state legislature, and we need to be public about the support for this. Now, I understand from Mr. Hafizadeh, I hope I pronounce it correctly, that you may be considering other mediums, like not a resolution, rather some kinds of letters or something else. The point there is that it needs to be public. People need to feel that, yes, this town is behind this, and we want our legislature to pass it. The urgency is now, because the budget is coming up before the state legislature. As you know, all of these bills, these proposed bills, they're up there now, and this has to start happening. That's why I came in early February. I thought, okay, let's see what we can do. I understand if you would have said to me, no, we're against this, and, that's that. At least I have an answer. Okay, but this business of not communicating, hopes raised, hopes dashed, I'll throw out the 4 questions I have. Okay, so if it's not going to be a resolution, but something else, who will be the recipients? How will it be made public? With whom does a member of the public, such as myself, follow up with? Because, even the Board of Education, when I went before them about a different issue, they said, okay, you're going to follow up with X person in our administration. Okay, I don't get that here. I speak, you respond. I don't know where to turn. Am I supposed to turn to Ms. Blitzer to see if there's any follow-up, or call Mr. Hafizadeh? I don't know. I feel like I'm whistling into the wind, and
Thank
I
you.
would like to see some transparency. Thank you.
Cologne?
Good evening, everybody. Rick Cologne here from Berwyn Road, town of Monroe. And my 3 minutes start now. Anyway.
You're 6 seconds behind.
Oh, man. Okay, I wanted to comment about the gentleman that we hear about Seven Springs Road. And I started looking up. I remember going over this issue. And I recall that once before we had a maximum slope angle that we had for this town. And I believe it was like between 8 to 10 degrees and on that slope. And it says, Town of Monroe, the maximum vertical grade or slope for the town is generally 6%, although it can be considered up to 8% on minor streets. Here's the problem. That roadway on Seven Springs, most of that traffic is not from the town of Monroe. It's from the town of Palm Tree, number one. Number two, there was a lot of trucks that were filled with debris, literally racing down that road, and took out, the guardrail a number of times. They still do. Straightening that road and having it down to a faster slope, you can't straighten that road out. The problem is, you might as well have a checkered flag at the bottom, because that's exactly what you're doing. So to me, please consider that carefully. These gentlemen, I think they glossed over a lot of issues with that. We have a lot of problems with people driving dangerously fast on that curve, and making it wider and straighter will only encourage them to go faster.
You have a minute.
17 seconds. So if we can provide, like they said, sidewalks, maybe a bike lane as well on both sides to keep the traffic closer so they have to slow down, may be a consideration. A solid concrete in the middle, even more so, yes, because now you have to keep focus not to crash your car, van, or truck. Just a few ideas. Lastly, most importantly, who's paying for this? Who's paying for this? So far, I'd like to see that in writing, like to see some facts and figures. The gentleman, very nice of you to come down, but they didn't address the degree of slope down that vertical angle. And the state was the one, I believe, that put up the red light at the end, because for the longest time, there wasn't a street lamp, a traffic light there. So I do thank you for your time. Lastly, as far as the stipend being increased or being reimposed, it was at 20, down to 15. It's still a $5,000.
And the game show has ended.
What's
Your prize
behind
can be
door
located.
number 3 there, Bob? Well, thank you very much, everyone.
That's all for public comment.
Louis, you want to take it away? Tell our lovely guests what their prizes are.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank everybody for showing up tonight. It's a little chilly outside, right? I think we covered some important topics tonight. I'm pleased to say we're moving, in a positive direction. One highlight from tonight was the appointment of Fran, as the deputy budget officer. She's really stepped up, and we got to recognize her. The recognition is well deserved. I would also like to congratulate Mr. Ed Morales, who's in the audience. Hi, Ed. He's taken on the additional lead role in the senior center. Thank you, Ed, for your continued dedication. In the spirit of collaboration, I want to welcome Susan to our finance team. Susan serves as a deputy mayor in the village of Woodbury. Value the opportunity to work alongside committed leaders from neighboring municipalities. Additionally, I'm pleased to share that last week the town of Woodbury supervisor signed the Dial-A-Ride intermunicipal agreement, right? So I look forward to building on that progress as we move forward toward finalizing the shelter IMA. Before I close, I want to take a moment to acknowledge a loss in our community. Pablo Quinones, he was a dedicated member of Woodbury. He was a coach to many of the children in this area, both in Woodbury and Monroe. He was the husband of Deputy Supervisor Martha Lopez. He passed away last week, I'm sorry. And so please keep the Lopez and Quinones families in your thoughts and prayers during this difficult time. And that's all I have to say. Well, I do want to talk about the New York for All Act, right? Before I go off, since I have a little bit of time. We're working on it. So we hear you. We're still working on that as well, as much as the state is working on it, right? So we will definitely get back to you. You're not, you're just not talking to the winds, you're talking to us, and we do hear you and we do understand it. And I'm very pleased that the supervisor's budget officer stipend was restored. I'm very pleased at that. That's it. That's all I have to say. That's my ball of wax.
Thank you. Your toaster can be collected outside. Mary?
So Dan Burke, you mentioned the traffic light on Pine Tree and Orange Turnpike and Still. Going back many, many years when there were developments on Rye Hill Road, there were some developers that put money towards that light. It's called a T-light. It's somewhere in the accounting, I don't know where it is anymore, but there was money from the town that was originally allocated to help pay for that light. I don't know if it still exists or not, so maybe that's something the village can find out for us. We'll see how that communication transpires. Carol, yes, the New York for All Act. I know you want one person to respond to you, so as this question goes down, I think somebody will step up for that, and then you will have your answer. Rick, regarding Seven Springs Road, that's an older road. I don't remember what year the highway specifications were changed in town code. So right now, where there are more dips, it probably was grandfathered in under the prior code. So yes, it would have to follow the new code. I am very much afraid that once that gets straightened out and those dips are taken out, you're going to have even more speeding over there. So that's definitely a concern. And when they come back, should they come back? Because, with the price of oil now, that means asphalt, tar, all those trucks that run on diesel, all those costs are going up. So let's say we were given a cost based on what their estimates were 2 years ago. I don't know if they can revise it and give us a new cost estimate. I agree. The developers that are running their big trucks up and down the road now are causing the road to break down much faster compared to if it was just regular residential vehicles, cars and light trucks. So maybe they would be nice enough to give something to the highway department. I don't want to put any words in their mouth, but they should be responsible for the damage that they are causing to the road. As I said, those heavy trucks are horrible on the roads. So those are my comments for tonight.
Councilwoman Stevens?
I just want to reiterate what I said before. How you communicate is just as important as what you communicate. I think it's important that every member of this board is afforded the opportunity to have discussions. Sometimes we're going to disagree, and we should be able to talk it through, and maybe we're not going to agree in the end. I do think it's important that we respect each other and we don't respond with emotionally charged responses. We need to stay measured and pragmatic, especially as council people that are charged with governing for our residents. And so I'm going to keep providing that example moving forward. I think it's important that we demonstrate how to be leaders of character. And I certainly hope in the future I don't hear an immediate motion in a retaliatory fashion just because I want to talk something through. Beyond that, I completely agree with you, Rick, on Seven Springs. As they were giving their presentation, I was thinking through straightening that road is just going to ramp up development. Let's be honest. The current condition of the road is actually keeping those big trucks carrying the supplies for building all this housing to a minimum. And so it's just going to make it happen faster, and then it's going to tear up the road. Like, they're going to get the road straight, they're going to do the development, and then the roads are going to be torn up. So we do need to look at that closer. I agree with you. Carol, as you know, remain 100% support of whatever we can do for the New York for All Act. And that's all.
Thank you. I just wanted to tell a little story about when I was a council person, and I heard the town clerk tell me that she sat at the desk in the front every single day, and I thought that I was being so protective of taxpayer dollars when she said that so much of her daily labor went uncompensated. And I believe that myself and Mary Bingham being kept completely outside intentionally from the budgetary process and the day-to-day ongoings, we also questioned Angelina and her refuse stipend. Now, being the full-time town administrator, I'm there at the desk every day, and when I go home, I'm on call both on my work and my personal cell phones, and I see what Valerie and the people who work here every single day have to deal with, which is not only their slated responsibilities, but the amount of traffic of a 20,000 person town coming in day to day. I found a new appreciation that I could only find from working alongside amazing people such as Valerie, such as Ed, such as Fran, and I would encourage the board members who have not been on campus at all or oriented to the town in any regard to experience a day in these departments' shoes before they speak about how we communicate, because leadership is going on every single day in these halls, and I'm inspired by the people who I work alongside, who have sacrificed so much of themselves to keep this town going, and that's what inspires my leadership. So I agree that we do have to be more appropriate and mindful when it comes to communication before we speak, and how that can not only damage morale of the team, but also hurt people personally. To go back, I do feel strongly that the council people's salaries are $17,500. And when I was a council person, I worked for every dollar of that. And I took on responsibilities that I was actively kept away from. So I would encourage the town council people to come together and do what they can during the transition and take on some more tasks and be curious and ask questions and perhaps, participate in some liaison roles that take the burden off of the town instead of aspirational and political goals. To address Carol, you specifically, I gave you an answer. If you wanted to hear a no, I wouldn't have said it that way, but I did very clearly tell you that this is the town. And not to be rude to anyone here, but a pizza oven fell through the subfloor on a random Tuesday. We had an ice cream convention here, and they sawed a hole in the wall and tapped into our breaker panel. We are a local town. We are not your state representatives. And as much as we have displayed more support for the immigrant community and Hispanic community and gone to your protests as political individuals, we told you that we don't feel comfortable establishing, thank you, I've won a KitchenAid mixer, someone said that to me. We don't feel comfortable establishing that you would come to us for nuanced state legislation. We passed the mask ordinance because Chester was about to become the next ICE facility, and that was the only legislation of its kind that established that precedent that someone should not conceal their identity. In the case for the New York for All, there's now a proposed version by Governor Hochul that is called like the Local Cops, Local Crime Act. When it comes to these nuanced decisions, we encourage you to reach out directly to your state legislator, whether that be State Senator Skoufis or Assembly Member Ekus. We don't like them either, I don't, but that's who you go talk to. So I don't know what to tell you. Like, we're doing the best that we can, and we are the place where people come to of every creed, color, like Republican, Democrat, conservative, whatever. We represent all of those people, and people cross-vote for us because we try very, very hard, or at least I do, to keep actual politics. That is what is political, out of this zone. When it comes to state politics, we are trying to set boundaries. We're happy to have you make public comment and use this platform for your citizen action. I'm more than happy to encourage it. I'm just a little upset that you would accuse us of not being transparent just because we draw the line and do have to say no while still supporting you in your endeavors. So that's all I'm gonna say for that. I don't want to stick my hands into who's signing Local Cops, Local Crimes, or New York for All versus that. That's just not something that we want to proceed with. And I'm sure there are some people on this board who will send letters to our state senator and our assembly member. So that's basically that.
Supervisor, can I comment?
Yes.
I would just like the board to consider, in my defense, with the upcoming budget, I know we still have a few months for that, but with everything that was on the agenda tonight, and it is deserved.
Absolutely.
It's unfortunate that I was looped in this election, this budget season, and my salary was frozen. I was a deputy for 4 years, town clerk for 6. I had applied last year in 2024, I'm sorry, for a $74,000 archiving grant, which you know was awarded in full. And you've seen how beautiful that outcome came. Maureen, you just complimented my office and my duties, so I would just like the board to consider that with the next review for increases. You'll also know that the town clerk position was cut initially by $10,000 when I first came on. That's all I have to say.
Thank you so much, and I just wanted to note that we did discuss this, and you were not left off of this agenda by accident or in any intentional way, but because we are waiting to see what happens with the deputy position, and then we'll have a clearer financial picture of what monies we can allocate where. And it is more than deserved, and thank you for everything you do. Okay, can I make a motion to end this meeting, or does someone want to break into song? I'm not sure.
Second.
Call the question?
Rivera, aye.
Hingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Thanks, everyone.